So until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. And I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touches Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popo Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Pope Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm, organically building on my legal AF work, just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So, if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment, or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Pope Firm today at 1877 POP AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popo Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the Donald Trump's latest trolling at Joe Biden's expense should just be ignored. Some of you might have woken up to the big proclamation by Donald Trump that he's going to undo all the executive orders by Joe Biden, especially all those that were signed by an Autopen. Every president undoes the executive orders of his predecessor. It's no big deal. It's just that Donald Trump now is trying to distract from his floundering administration, from his failing poll numbers, for the fact that he's down in 10 battleground states. I didn't even know there were 10 battleground states. I thought there were just 7, but he's down in 10, including Texas and Florida. That more than 70% of independents have abandoned Donald Trump, so he has to capture the micro news cycle. Not even the news cycle. He has to make a news cycle, a micro news cycle. Capture it, stamp on it, dominate it in order to distract things going terrible for him with his attack on Marjorie Taylor Greene and her leaving that party, the MAGA implosion, the reporting that's come out all in the same week by the New York Times that his energy is flagging Donald Trump, that he works 5 hours a day at most, that he's aging in place in the White House, which may explain any of his preposterous actions that in the same week as we see reporting that the House is up in arms about Donald Trump and the smugness by way his administration treats them. They're tired of being treated like doormats by Donald Trump. So when you have all of that reporting and the Epstein cover-up blowing up in Donald Trump's face and the way he handled it, things going so poorly that he had to embrace the popularity of Zoran Mandami, the new mayor-elect in New York, a Democratic socialist, in order to seem cool again. Then he comes out with the Autopen troll. It's not the first Autopen troll by Donald Trump. We had a report a couple of months ago in the hallway leading to the desecrated Rose Garden that Donald Trump paved over like it's a Motel 6 parking lot. There's a picture of every president, except when you get to Joe Biden, it's a picture of the Autopen. Now look, that Autopen has been used by every president over the last 50 to 100 years. You go back to some of our original presidents, they used a version of the Autopen. In 2005, the Department of Justice declared that all use of Autopens on any type of document was appropriate. The Oversight Committee, dominated by Republicans, did an entire investigation. 14 different witnesses from the Biden administration, no concrete evidence whatsoever that when the Autopen was used by Joe Biden, that it was done without his knowledge, that they got the Autopen, and they started putting pieces of paper under it and started making, executive orders. This is just Donald Trump trolling Joe Biden at his expense in order to distract from his failing poll numbers and his failing administration. As I said at the top of this Sunday morning, welcome to Legal AF Sunday Morning. Hit the free subscribe button. Help us grow our channel here as we lead into 2026. Every president undoes the executive orders of the prior president on day one. There's very few executive orders left. On day one, January 20th, Donald Trump issued almost 80 executive orders, or canceled out almost 80 executive orders of the 162 that Joe Biden issued on day one. He got rid of the ones dealing with promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, outlawing private prisons, supporting refugees, supporting the International Criminal Court, supporting research around climate change, money devoted to infrastructure, money to support the LGBTQ plus community, to support e-education, to root out organized crime, all gone on day one. Then in March, he issued another series of getting rid of 19 more executive orders around race and gender and around union protection. So there's only about 72 left at that. Now you'll notice that Trump doesn't talk about the pardons much. See, Joe Biden issued individual pardons to lots and lots of people. You know, a couple thousand clemencies, commutations, and pardons, some of them famously to his son, others in his family, but there were thousands of other pardons, and sometimes he used an Autopen for that. But Donald Trump doesn't dare attack the use of the Autopen for pardons. First of all, his own blanket pardons Donald Trump have come under attack because there's a suggestion that when he tried to pardon the Jan 6ers, he actually pardoned other people not named who committed voter fraud. There's a whole defense being used in the criminal defense bar to use the pardons, which were not limited to people's names, to argue that people who committed voter fraud. There's a guy who voted in two battleground states like Florida and Pennsylvania at the same time. And his defense is, I got absolved by a pardon by Donald Trump, who pardoned all the Jan 6ers. But even MAGA can't find within the language of the Constitution and the absolute power to pardon. It's one of the strongest MO powers that can't be reviewed by a court, can't be reviewed by a United States Supreme Court, the power to pardon. Even this MAGA 6 on the United States Supreme Court wouldn't dare argue that a pardon has to be in writing. Pardon does not have to be in writing at all. There is no case law. There is no statutory language. There's no congressional language. There's no constitutional language that says a president can only grant a pardon in writing signed by him. A handshake can be a pardon, an oral part. Now, it's you have to prove it up. You know, if you believe you have a pardon, you're going to have to, and it wasn't reduced to writing, you're going to have to go prove it up in court somehow, like an oral pardon. That's why they are in writing, because the person who gets the pardon wants the pardon to be able to flash it and show it in case anybody challenges the pardon. Doesn't mean it has to be, and certainly doesn't have to be written in wet blue ink, what we call wet ink signature. An auto signature, Autopen signature is fine, just as it's declared that going back as far back as 1929, we've got that the Solicitor General's office declared that pardons are not required to be in any form or format. And as I said, I don't see the magics of the United States Supreme Court disagreeing with that. I think it's very interesting what Donald Trump said, I'm going to get rid of all the pardons because that's just something they normally do anyway. They're just doing it now in order to embarrass Joe Biden and, more importantly, create a mini news cycle, a micro news cycle to try to dominate with a really terrible week. He's lost in courts. Think about the last 10 days for Donald Trump. Lindsay Halligan gets fired as U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, and the indictments against James Comey, his arch nemesis, former FBI director, and Letitia James, New York Attorney General, who brought him low with a $450 million civil fraud judgment. Those indictments get tossed. You have that happen. You have the Epstein cover-up blow up in his face, and the files are now going to be released in 20 days or so with great political pressure. He's losing on congressional maps. He's losing in the court of public opinion. Let me give you the numbers in the battleground states. 7 battleground states determined 2024's election. He won all 7. As he says constantly ad nauseum, here's where he's at right now. This is favorable versus unfavorable. Arizona, he's 12 points under. Pennsylvania, remember, he won all of these states I'm about to describe. Pennsylvania, 13. Michigan, 15. Nevada, 15. Georgia, 14. Wisconsin, 1. North Carolina, 8. Meaning if the election was held right now, he would lose all 7 of those. But listen to the next 3. We normally talk about the 7 battleground states, and we took Florida, Texas, and Ohio in the last couple of election cycles off the list. He's down in those states too. He's 6 in Florida, 6 in Texas, 6 in Ohio, and with independents, 74% of independents have abandoned Donald Trump. So with those poll numbers, the Epstein scandal, the Bondi scandal around Halligan, the new restart of criminal contempt proceedings by Judge Boasberg in this last week in D.C. against the Trump administration, and what they did about those 200 people that were sent to El Salvador over in violation of court order. He needed to do something. What can I do now? Let's troll Joe Biden. Ignore it. It doesn't mean anything. It's like the Trump administration. It's meaningless. He's not a serious person. And I think the American people have woken up to that based on these poll numbers. I'll continue to follow it all. Thanks for being here on Sunday morning on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button. We're trying desperately to get to 1 million subscribers by the middle of December. We will do it with your help at the rate we're going. Just double check. See if you are a subscriber. It's all for free. No outside investors, no paywall. Hit the subscribe button. Come over to Legal AF Substack and do the exact same thing.